It's easy to assume our southern border is in chaos because Joe Biden could be the most incompetent president we've ever had in the history of this nation. We've all seen his disastrous press conferences, the countless cringeworthy moments, wandering around aimlessly, staring off into the distance for several seconds at a time. It's very sad, but everything about this president screams cognitive decline. And before you scream at me, you're not a doctor. You don't have to be to clearly see what's happening. Joe Biden has lost his fastball, and his curve, and his slider, for that matter. It's understandable why you'd think every crisis we face at home and abroad is because of a president who doesn't understand where he is or what's going on. But when it comes to our southern border, the more than 2 million illegal aliens we've seen pour into our country illegally and unlawfully is not because of incompetence. It's by design. You're seeing the results of a far-left strategy to dismantle and destroy the foundational essence of this sovereign nation. This is not an exaggeration. Moderate Democrats are distancing themselves from Biden's border policies because they know it's not a winning issue. Don't be fooled by that, of course. These same Democrats are complicit in the disaster we see at our southern border right now. And during an election year, they found Jesus on the issue. At the same time, radical leftist extremists like Ayanna Pressley celebrate the lifting of border safeguards like Title 42.
And so I just want to lift up the fact that the Biden administration is rolling back this policy is a victory from the advocates.
And that's all you need to know. Much like the drug cartels, extremists don't care if their action destroy those they're supposed to be serving. They care about exploiting an opportunity while they have the chance. Or, to put it like Democrat Rahm Emanuel once said, you never let a serious crisis go to waste. Congressman Chip Roy confronted DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas about the illegal immigrants the administration is releasing into our American neighborhoods.
If the officer determines at the time of the interview that an alien has a credible fear of persecution, the alien shall be detained for further consideration. Mandatory detention. Any alien subject to the procedures under this clause shall be detained, pending a final determination of credible fear of persecution. Is everyone being detained? Yes or no?
No, and as a matter of fact, Congressman, that is an issue that is before the United States Supreme Court. And
the fact of the matter is our law says they should be detained, and your agency is releasing people on purpose.
The job of the executive branch is to enforce the laws that are set by Congress. President Trump was vilified for simply enforcing existing law. Democrats should have focused their white-hot rage at Congress for not changing the laws they hated, but they didn't, and the media joined the left, incorrectly blaming Trump, who swore an oath to uphold the Constitution. The Biden administration has taken a different tact. They decided to completely ignore the laws on the books. Secretary Mayorkas has participated in 4 different committee hearings this week. He's provided statements and excuses that are an insult to the intelligence of the American people who have to deal with the results of their extremist agenda.
We're not only dealing with a broken immigration system, we're dealing with a broken immigration system that was dismantled in its entirety in the prior administration. And so we're rebuilding it.
Yeah, that's rich. What you inherited was a border that was under control, with the lowest numbers of drugs, human trafficking, child smuggling, and illegal crossings America had seen in decades. We know the border can be secure because President Trump did it. All they had to do was nothing. Continue the wall, leave the Remain in Mexico policy in place, keep the safe third country agreements, the policies that actually protected American citizens. But the Biden administration's goal isn't security. The goal is importing as many people as possible they think will be future Democrat voters and strategically pushing them to red states to change the politics in those states forever, just so the Democrats can maintain and gain political power. What's most infuriating about this is the crime, the rape, the murder, the DUI deaths, the assaults, the drug overdoses, and all the rest are 100% preventable. Congressman Matt Gaetz asked a very sobering question in one of the hearings.
Will some of the 800,000 commit crimes, yes or no?
Undoubtedly.
Undoubtedly. And so the Americans who are the victims of the crimes for the people that you release in the country are collateral damage that you are willing to accept in order to have our border function as a turnstile.
And the damage is undeniable, of course, as I said, also preventable. There's no doubt you at home know someone who has died of a drug overdose. In March of this year, fentanyl overdoses became the leading cause of death for adults ages 18 to 45. Putting an end to the importance of fentanyl, importation of fentanyl into this country should be the most easily bipartisan issue we've ever faced. But our current government has an agenda completely oblivious to and totally unconcerned with the needs of its citizens. Jen Psaki was asked about this today.
What is the administration doing to address those concerns and that criticism that there may be a plan on paper, but they certainly haven't seen it at the border yet?
Well, first, there's an extensive plan on paper that includes a 6-pillar approach to planning for and preparing for the lifting of Title 42.
Their 6-pillar plan to effectively manage the incoming waves of migrants can only be comforting to bureaucratic paper pushers in windowless government offices who've never had to face the results of their policies in person. And when you look at those 6 pillars, you'll see it's not a border security plan at all. It's just an illegal immigrant processing plan.